Today at CRKT, we're talking about basic knife maintenance. And we've got Javier here from Parts and Warranty. Thanks for joining us, Javier.
Thanks for having me.
When we talk about knife maintenance, where do we start?
Well, Joel, let's start at the blade. You want to make sure that your blade is always nice and clean. You want to make sure there's a thin coat of oil on there to protect from any rust that may develop. You want to make sure your cutting edge is always nice and sharp. That way you can cut through things quickly and easily. The pivot area is another crucial point here. You want to make sure that is always clean and free of any debris. If you have any compressed air, you can blow that out. You want to make sure that these screws are always nice and tight and your blade is always nice and centered. The handle as well, you want to keep these screws nice and tight. If they ever back out or start to loosen, retighten them. Add some blue Loctite if you have it. It is a good seal that is not permanent, so if you need to back them out for whatever reason, you can crack that seal, take your knife all the way apart to give it a more thorough cleaning.
Yeah, that's a good tip about Loctite, blue Loctite specifically. Also, I want to mention that CRKT does offer free replacement parts on crkt.com. You'll deal directly with Javier and Bibiana. One of the things about the replacement screws is a lot of times people will lose them or clips and all that type of stuff, so replacement parts are available.
Also, we have a lock here. We have frame locks, liner locks, all types of locks. It is very important to keep the pivot area clean, especially because if it's not clean, your blade won't swing all the way back and it won't allow your lock to properly engage. So that's another key component when we're talking about the lock functioning like it's supposed to.
Yeah, so that's a good tip. Keep your pivot area clean in order to keep the blade open and secure when locked. I do want to talk about innovations too. Specifically, this is an Outburst spring-assisted knife. Is there anything that you have to do to specially maintain Outburst?
So for Outburst systems, you want to make sure, again, I've said it many times, but I'm going to keep saying it, the pivot area must be clean in order for your knife to function, but more so on the Outburst Assist. Keep that area clean, keep it oiled. When you want to open it, boom.
Nice.
Like butter.
Yeah, that's a good tip. One thing, too, about knife maintenance, CRKT is known for innovations, and this is one of Ken Onion's strongest innovations. This is field strip technology, and this is a new knife for 2018. This is the Racuri from Duhara, but you basically spin this rear release wheel, up a lever, your knife comes apart in actually 3 very simple pieces. Now, this solves the screws problem. You don't even need screws for field strip technology. Actually will help you clean and maintain your knife. Now, to put the knife back together, you want to put this blade in, and then you want to spin the rear release wheel, and then make sure the pivot is seated correctly here, and then bring the lever down, your knife comes back together. So that's field strip technology. It's an awesome innovation from Ken Onion. It helps solve some of those knife maintenance problems like lint, dirt, and all that kind of stuff that can muck up a knife really well. Also, I wanted to mention IKBS, which is the Ikoma Korth ball bearing system. We've got a very extensive video from designer Flavio Ikoma. I'll put the link in the description for you guys out there where he walks through the maintenance regimen for IKBS pivots. But today we're just talking about basic knife maintenance. Javier, is there anything else we need to know?
The clip is very important also because it allows the knife to stay in your pocket. Make sure your screws are always tight on there. Make sure your clip is in good shape. If it ever bends out of shape, free replacement parts, there you go, once again.
That's a good benefit.
So that's another key component to our folders. For fixed blades, we do have the sheaths. So you want to make sure that your blade is always in the sheath as far as it will go. It has a nice retention. That way when you're out in the woods partying, jumping around, it won't just fall out on you. So
sure,
that's another key component there.
So you heard it from Javier himself here. If you're out in the woods partying and you're at a knife party, make sure your sheath retains the blade properly. Another tip about fixed blade knives in sheaths is that keep a light coat of oil on the blade because stainless steels can rust, and in more humid environments, sometimes that humidity can build up inside the sheath and your blade will rust faster. So keep a light coat of oil on the blade to avoid that problem, and you won't have to deal with that. That's all of our basic knife maintenance tips. Thank you, Javier. And if you keep your knife properly clean and maintained, that will give you the confidence in hand that you expect from CRKT Knives and Tools.